Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And with that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsor. Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. All right, thank you all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary. Make sure to click the link below and go check them out. I guarantee you're going to like it. And for those of you just listening, make sure to use code JAMBOX for 20% off and a free gift. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
Hi, my name is Leo London.
Hello.
Hey.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, what you do, give us that Tinder profile of your involvement with music.
Oh, my Tinder profile. Well, I got banned from Tinder, actually.
Oh, no.
I was trying to sell my van, so I made it. And somebody was very bitter and, didn't like that, so.
I've never considered that an option. Good to know.
Yeah, well, apparently it's not an option.
Oh, but, yeah, good to know that's not an option.
Yeah, no, it was Vanessa 25, likes long drives, but I grew up in Eugene, Oregon, raised by my grandparents. And I've been doing music for the past 20 some years.
Man.
And
that's a good long time to do it. How long, or I guess what got you started in music initially?
Well, as a kid, I just learned to play the piano. My grandpa was a big Raiders fan because when he was in the Navy during Korea, he was stationed in San Diego, and I used to play the piano in between, during the commercial breaks.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of learned by ear how to play the jingles and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. And I guess back then the music for commercials was a little bit stronger than music of today.
More tuneful for sure. Yeah. So I got an ear for hooks.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to wait to make a point about that till later, but
yep.
Everybody put a pin in that now, because there's definitely something I'll be pointing out later about both those facts. But that's really cool. When did you transition from piano to guitar? It sounds like
about 13.
Okay.
I just got really into Jimi Hendrix. And that was like the when I was really starting to be this is, because before that, I grew up, skateboarding, and we listened to Fat Records, bands and stuff like that. But then when I found Jimi Hendrix, that was when I was like, oh, I want to play the guitar. And my grandparents bought me the Fender Strat.
Okay.
It's the same guitar that I've been playing since I was 13.
Oh, the same one?
The same one.
Whoa. Yep. Is it an actual Fender Strat?
It was Christmas. It was, it was probably $700.
Damn. Yeah, I was going to say
they believed in me.
Shout out to the grandparents for that one. That's a quality instrument right there.
Yeah. And I've gotten, how old am I now? I don't want to do the math. I've had it longer than I've not had it.
Fair, man. That's I'll be honest. I still have my first bass, so I can't speak on it too much. But that's really cool. That's an interesting piece to have with you to be your main instrument still full time. So I appreciate that for sure. Before we get into the next question, I'm curious to know favorite Jimi Hendrix song.
Little Wing.
Okay, quality.
Yeah.
Quality. Castles Made of Sand person.
You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Those first two records, those sort of shorter songs. I know it. I love all that he did, but when it, I don't know, it was Chaz Chandler was kind of like, hey, let's keep this a little tighter. Let's keep this a little tighter. And he felt bad about it, but I have to say, in retrospect, sometimes shorter is better.
Yeah. Just a little bit. But he had a short-lived career. I would have been interested to see what he had done in later years.
Oh, sure. I mean, all those posthumous records, the stuff he was working on, Drifting, that's a great song. I mean, anyway, he's one of my heroes. I don't mean to yuck anybody's yum there.
No, totally.
I just am not so much a blues odyssey. I mean, 13 minutes of acid-soaked guitar soloing is not,
I'm sure it's one of the things that when you're doing it, it's probably a lot of fun.
Of course. I mean, the thing is, I think that he's I just don't know if he's sung as highly as he should be for his actual songwriting,
Yeah.
and arrangement skills and stuff, because he is a fantastic guitar player, but it's more than that.
No, I mean, it was the whole experience. And I think he kind of had an energy about him, like just like hearing stories about his time in music. Like he always kind of brought something different to the table as well. And that I don't think got acknowledged a lot either.
Yeah. Well, you talk about like Little Richard, is like, can't have Jimi Hendrix in my band.
Yeah.
I mean, because, he was in the Chitlin circuit and stuff and like playing with the Isley Brothers and stuff, but I think everybody just knew,
Yeah.
And it's just so interesting, too, that he never broke in America. He had to go to England.
That's true.
Break there and be part of the British invasion rather than being like, he was here doing the stuff, I mean.
Oh, yeah. I guess I never really considered that. Huh.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was Chaz Chandler from the Animals, that I guess discovered him, but
Yeah, but he'd been around for a while by that point.
Yeah, Jimmy and the Blue Flames, I think. There's stuff happening.
Damn. Well, thanks for going down that with me. But let's get back to you.
Oh, yeah.
And this is actually a fun segue. We have a couple questions we check in with everybody on for continuity's sake. And this first one is one we ask early. It's one we ask often, and it's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money?
Okay, my own. Well,
yeah. So like you went and purchased it yourself.
Yeah. I mean, there are two stories. Well, so they're actually. I mean, I wasn't making money, and so I had to get the money from parents. Actually, the first 3 records, it was a record haul. My dad, my birth father, was here in Portland and took me to Everyday Music and gave me $20. And I bought the first Green Day record.
Nice.
Like the very, like 10,000 Smooth That Slappy Hours, Look Out. And then the first Foo Fighters record.
Okay.
And Highway 61 Revisited, Bob Dylan.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Those are my first records.
Damn. You had a cool taste in music as a kid.
Well, I found, I found like all of my dad's tapes. So I grew up, like Velvet Underground, stuff like that, just had boxes of cassettes and, pre-internet.
That's fair. So you kind of have to go with what's put in your house to begin with.
For sure. And then
that's how I found Megadeth, so.
Hell yeah. My grandpa bought my first CD, took me to Shopko, and I bought Muddy Banks with Wishka, Nirvana.
Okay.
And so that's kind of answers.
Yeah, no, those are great answers. And I mean, again, it's cool to see that you've kind of had cool taste in music, although it sounds like it was somewhat generational at this point.
Well, sure. And also I liked plenty of crap too. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, you had a variety of sounds.
I definitely had like, Blink-182, Buddha, stuff like that, not ragging on Blink-182, they're great. But, there's the, every Punkorama compilation, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, how I found Tom Waits was a Punkorama comp.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because he did that record on Epitaph, or Anti, subsidiary, and like stationed between like Zeke and Gwar. There's like big in Japan.
Yep.
Excuse me. Still getting over a cold. Yeah. Good times.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny, actually, one of the early, like the first time I found a compilation CD, because it was like kind of a strange concept when I was getting into music, because, there were so many albums present at the time. It was also an Epitaph CD.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have just, shout out to Epitaph one time, actually. They have been pushing music for a long time.
We love you guys.
Yeah. And then this next question, it's kind of in the same vein.
Mm-hmm.
What was the first live show you ever went to? That was one you wanted to go to. So you saw it was happening, you got tickets, you went to it.
Yeah. Very first one was, I'm pretty sure it was Green Day at the Salem Armory.
Okay.
But it also might have been the Big Stink 5, which was a festival here at Portland Meadows. I just can't remember.
That's fair. Kind of around the same time.
Yeah. And, same, I mean, I said, like, when I saw Green Day, it was like Living End if you remember that band. They were like sort of like a rockabilly kind of thing. I think they're Australian, maybe. Anyway, they were good. I got hit in the head, kicked in the head, like in the pit. So I went up.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and and I was a kid, and I was like, oh, so I went up and watched the whole show from the bleachers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I like just watching, because then you get to like see, it was when Green Day was touring Nimrod, so they had like a horn section and all this stuff. And I was like, this is really neat.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. I remember my grandma drove me and my friends up there and waited in the parking lot, and it was just really sweet.
Hell yeah.
And I was reminded of that moment. I went and saw Idols last night, and a pit formed, and I was getting away from it because I'm not 12, and like
Fair.
Somebody punched me in the back.
Oh no.
And it fixed something that was wrong with my back. I was like, oh my God, I haven't felt this good in forever.
Amazing. Maybe they were secretly a chiropractor and they could tell you were walking funny and they were like, this is my chance. Vigilante justice.
It's like when the anarchists fill the potholes,
Yeah. Oh man.
So,
well, hey, that's a
shout out to Idols. You have really talented fans.
That's I won't name any names, but I have a friend who recently ended up getting injured pretty badly from a pit. So it's nice to hear the other can happen as well.
Yeah. Well, at first thought I was like, this is it.
Yep. Yeah. I'm stuck in the middle of death. Oh no.
It's like someone boxes your ear and you're like, I can hear again. What?
Yeah. Wild. Well, shout out to that person. You may have done it unintentionally, but you did a good thing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, positive pit.
Yeah. Oh man, that's going to be a thing one day, I'm sure. Just everybody, no beating up, just positivity in the pit.
Yeah, why don't let's start it, instead of like a circle pit, it's a circle like massage.
Oh.
Massage train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like oh, yep, there we go. A self-care circle.
Yeah.
Yep. Hell yeah. All right. And before we move into more of what you're doing with music in the current day, this next question, it's kind of like the bridging the gap question.
Sure.
Do you have a moment where you decided, or like that defined you wanting to like take music as seriously as you do now?
Yeah. Let me think. I think when I was probably about 16, 17, I mean, I played in like punk bands and stuff in like the hardcore scene back at like Grange halls, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Horse the band, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And after high school, I moved to Seattle for a bit because my buddy had a studio up there, and I recorded my first album, which was not good, but we all have to start someplace. It took me a number of years to get good. Yeah, I think it just sort of seemed like, well, I went to like the college counselor in school. I didn't do great in school, not because I'm not, clever, but because I had dyslexia.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Which I didn't know what that was until I was 30. So it made more sense afterwards. Like, oh, that's why I can't read music. Because it wasn't for a lack of trying.
Oh, I never considered that dyslexia could affect music reading.
I promise it does.
Interesting.
I mean, like, I can read like a jazz chart or something like that, but like once you get, I mean, it's a foreign tongue, and so many. I mean, I really tried because, I played in band in like middle school and stuff, played saxophone, and I could get by because I could just hear what the next chair was doing and I could just figure it out, and then just playing it all by ear. I just have the music in front of me. But when I got to high school, they wouldn't let me into the band because I couldn't sight read.
Oh, damn.
And I was like, I can play better than some of these guys. He's like, and the band instructor, nice guy, but very old school.
Yeah.
His name's Bill, but he's very like Sousa March, kind of guy. And he's like, well, Leo, if you can't read the music, I just can't have you in here. And I was like, I promise I'm not lazy. it just doesn't compute,
It's not me, it's it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's the thing too, because like I would, when I was a kid, I'd just write, like it was my favorite thing to do, and but I couldn't read well, and like all of my stuff, and they'd put me in like special classes, and and I was like, I just, with the kids with their pants on backwards, eating boogers and stuff like that, and I was like, I don't think that I'm a lost cause.
Yeah.
not not to disparage those who eat their boogers, but like
There's protein in it, allegedly.
It's just don't tell the bourgeois because they'll start putting it in pills to
true
kids.
True.
Yeah, but so I don't know if there was a defining moment that maybe get into it, but it was just sort of the I don't know. I never had a plan B.
Yeah.
Just was like, I just want to do this and I'm going to do it. So,
well, it sounds like it's been around you pretty much your whole life.
Yeah.
And I guess I didn't really dig into this more earlier, but is like everybody else in your family very musical, or are you like the first musician?
So my grandpa couldn't play radio, in his words. My grandma could play a little bit of piano, and she taught me how to play like a sort of rudimentary a version of The Entertainer by Scott Joplin, and my dad was a musician in Portland in like the 80s and stuff, and I mean played in punk bands and opened for the Dead Kennedys.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I mean but we didn't have much of a relationship,
Gotcha.
But I presumably that's where I got my music.
Yeah.
If it's something inherent, it was inherited.
Gotcha.
But I never, I think we tried to jam once when I was like 16, and he was already so far gone on drugs by that point. It was, sort of, it was like, well, I'm kind of carrying this, and I'm a kid.
Fair. Well, I mean, at least it's cool to see that you're like making positive notions with music now.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, it sounds like you've just kind of always been interested in it. Like you said, you had no plan B.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that even to this day, you're still putting music out and doing things with it.
I mean, it's it's like that there's no real alternative because, whether we're in or out of the money,
Yeah.
Like, because sometimes it hits and sometimes it's doing okay. It's been a minute, but, sometimes, I mean, if you're doing it just for the money, obviously the worst career decision ever. But like, there are people that that do it for clout or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like that's not why. I just don't really have an option. Like I've tried to quit you.
Yeah, no,
work.
Like, going to like a regular job will never work.
I mean, really,
point.
I went straight. For a while, I was working as like property manager and had a really like had to go to like Top Golf and stuff, and I just couldn't. I'm an outdoor cat.
Yeah.
And it's like, it just slowly it ekes back in, and then, what are you going to do?
Yeah, you're like, maybe I'll just play for an hour a night. Go to this open mic. Maybe I'll just start a jam band with these 3 people from the open mic. Maybe we'll just do a small weekend tour. It can pile up fast.
It sure do. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, we only have, so much time, and why deny yourself the pleasure of something you enjoy?
Yeah.
And what's the return if you don't do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's not like I'm going to ascend any sort of ladder to like have healthcare. It's like It's not a fair trade.
Yeah, no. And at a certain point, you got to look back and be like, I did the things I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because nobody gets out alive, so it's worth doing those things when it matters most.
Sure.
All right. But now let's go ahead and let's talk about you in the current day.
Current day.
And we asked this to everybody, but I have a feeling this is going to be a really easy answer. How'd you pick the name?
Oh, yeah. It was off the cover of a David Bowie record.
Okay, so your name actually isn't Leo London.
No, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was, however, if we're talking about the Domestics, that was actually my first wife, who I lovingly call my first wife, my best friend. We were living together, and Michael Finn, who originally, it was me and Michael Finn doing the Domestics, was on his way over and was like, hey, do you want me to grab anything from the store? And I was like, I don't know, just grab some beer or whatever. And he was like, what do you want? And I was like, Domestics. And Lori at the time was working as a house cleaner. So she was like, Domestics. I was like, oh yeah, like working class thing.
Oh, okay.
Domestics, So,
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those names that's kind of funny too, because, there's also like, because there are a couple bands named the Domestics. There's a punk band in the UK. And which I feel like more aligns with what I thought of with the name. And there's also like sort of like, like a folk duo, you know, like the Domestics, like Domestic Life, you know. But it's, you know, choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at naming bands. I am really bad at it.
It is not fun. It's such a difficult project, especially now.
Yeah.
When it's like you have to like choose between 18,000 things that have existed for like a half of a song on the internet for like 17 months. You haven't logged on. You don't exist.
Yeah.
And I have this, or like...
It's something else. I mean, you know, and then you think about how much time... I mean, we used to pick our band names. Remember those AOL discs that used to come in the mail? We just picked the name off of that, whatever the password was.
Oh.
You know, especially if we were just playing pickup punk band or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But then you think of some of the, you know, like a name is somewhat pointless, you know. It's like, I mean, Portugal the Man is the band name. And a good band... Terrible band name.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a punctuation in the middle, I think is a little bit unique.
Yeah, I heard, well, I'm friends with some of those guys, and I heard the story that it was like just chosen randomly out of a book where it was like the end and the beginning of another sentence.
Oh.
Again,
yeah.
Don't come at me. It's just...
Yeah, no, hey, that's one way. I played a show with a band who a buddy of mine was in once where they picked a different name for every show.
Nice, yeah.
And I was
just... Surfers used to do that.
Yeah.
And Flaming Lips, I think. Yeah, it's a good move.
Yeah, no, I mean,
just
like
sticks.
Yeah. Well, like they always did it.
Yeah.
Like they never landed on a thing.
Love that.
They had been playing for so long, they just had a core audience. So like everybody knew when they were playing shows that was going to go and see them.
There you go.
And so they always played local, but they would put a different name on the flyer every time.
I love that.
Yeah. So it's, I guess, you know, at a certain point, yes, a name is only going to go as far as the music will take you.
Sure. I mean, look at the band. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, I mean, what a great band, but also fucking...
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, you mentioned them earlier. Horse the band.
Yeah.
Like, they could have just been Horse.
They could have just been Horse.
But they were like, no, we're Horse the band.
Yeah. That was to get that tripod.com or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Man, I never considered that until now. It's a fun one to go through. But let's go ahead and let's dive on into your writing style, or I guess your writing process.
Yeah.
And I want to break it up into chunks, but let's start right at the beginning. So when you get inspired, you're ready to make music. What are some of the things you do to get a track started?
So through the years, you know, it started where I would write lyrics first and then the music to it, melody and stuff like that. And I did that until I was probably about 20. And
it's only a couple of years ago.
Yeah, well, 18 years. And eventually I started to do, you know, where you like sit at the piano and you kind of vibe and then you sort of mush mouth and do that. And I did that for a long time. And I started working with Michelle Zahner of Japanese Breakfast. We had a band together.
Oh, man.
And
that's a cool name drop.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. She's crushing it.
Yeah. I love Japanese Breakfast.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm friends with all those guys. I actually just saw them a couple years ago when I was living in Nashville.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. No, Domestics used to play shows together and stuff before they really blew up.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, love Michelle. Her and I, you know, started working, I don't know, sort of through like the American Songbook and things like that. You know, we both liked Leonard Cohen and Joni Mitchell and Tim Buckley and stuff like that. And I don't know, just really getting to like the kernel of what, you know, what makes a good song. And that was a good learning experience for that. So for a lot of years I was doing, you know, sort of like, I don't know if you'd call it like standard-ish sort of, you know, structures, things like that. I was really trying to make, you know, like a great American standard sort of song, you know, and it also intermingled with, you know, like Sonic Youth sort of like guitar noise crap. And I don't know, eventually I kind of stopped writing with an instrument. I kind of like to just have a melody and like sing it into a tape deck or into a phone or whatever. I write a lot when I'm driving now, especially because I've been really nomadic for the past like 4 years. And it's been, I wrote this song called Little America, and I was driving, from Wyoming to LA, and there's a stop called Little America. There's just a million signs for it. I mean, it's just a gas station, but there's something just romantic about, the idea of it, and I just wrote the whole song while I was driving, and then just wrote the lyrics, kicking it from my head like Jay-Z,
Yeah.
instead of sitting down.
Yeah, putting pen to paper.
Yeah, so I don't know. It comes in waves. Sometimes, I mean, I also love to go to like a music store and pick up a guitar and then just play, because, different guitars going to make you play different chords.
Oh, that's a good
And then you just, put it back, go home, write the song, Yeah, little tricks, little things to keep it interesting,
That is a clever little suggestion. I love that.
Sometimes it's fun to challenge yourself too, like I also play in a band with Stacy Kalin, and we were really into chaos magic. And we got really into like, we'd play like board games and write down ideas while we're playing the board game, and then we would do like, chords in a glass kind of thing, pull Burroughs style or Bowie style. And so I don't know, anything to keep it interesting, I guess, so I don't think there's like a set. I feel like I've tried everything.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I've written like over 1,000 songs. Some of them are okay. But, I've always been shotgun theory just because I think that, the act, what they call it, the plastic act, the creating the thing is the art.
Yeah.
The art is a byproduct.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah.
And, I guess this next question I'm even more curious about now. Once you get a track finished writing, so it doesn't have to be released or put out or anything like that.
Sure.
Once you've finished writing it to completion, how long does it usually take for you to get comfortable performing it?
Oh, yeah, that is, some things I've written I've never performed. And it's like, I think also, producer as writer, like sometimes I'll just be in the studio recording the song, writing the song, put it to, I don't know, wax or whatever.
Yeah, and press it.
And then that's it. I mean, it's sort of like, I feel pretty comfortable performing just because I've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, especially getting the band back together. I'll tell you what was tough for me. In Wonderlust, I played drums and sing. And that I hadn't even owned a drum set in 15 years just because I've been living in apartments or whatever.
Yeah.
Getting those chops back, singing while doing it, and also, I mean, it requires breath control. You know what I mean? I was
very
like,
much.
I was like, how many cigarettes did I smoke in my 20s? It's like, it is sort of like, that was, I don't know if I've ever felt comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But I just have a guitar and I can, I feel like very comfortable doing that pretty quick.
Okay. Yeah, no, I dig that.
Yeah.
And I mean, that it's interesting that you'd say like singing while playing drums, because like drums are what I play now mainly.
Yeah.
And like it's more just kind of like for fun than it is for like a band or anything like that. But I'm currently building my chops by playing the songs I know, and there's always those moments where I just catch myself singing along, and then there's the moments where the drums are doing some stuff, and I'm like, oh nope, I gotta pay attention again. It's such a difficult task. I mean, like Anderson .Paak is one of the few people I know that can do it like incredibly well, but it's a hard task for a lot of people to achieve.
Wait, remind me, Anderson .Paak, I know the name.
He is currently doing stuff with like Bruno Mars at the moment.
Oh, right on.
That duo, I can't remember the name of the duo.
Oh, that duo.
I'm so sorry, internet.
No, they're great.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name off the top of my head either. That album rips.
Yeah, no, it's incredible.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to count when you're playing the drums.
Yep.
And it's tough if you're also trying to remember lyrics.
Yeah, man.
And harmonize,
Oh, yeah, you have to be able to like listen to what other people are doing outside of your instrument as well.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. I'd also play into a click, we were a 2-piece band, so I've got a laptop with backing tracks involved, so.
Yeah.
It's that was a real mental gymnastics.
No, I could imagine.
Yeah.
And, I was like, we'll get into a little bit of your music now. And I guess I'm kind of curious to know, because a lot of your music is presented as you as Leo London, and there's, this music that you're coming out with soon that'll be the Domestics. And it's hard for me to dive all of everybody's things all of the time when I'm doing this a lot, but also you have a lot of music out.
Yeah, I've been doing it a long time.
Like 2010.
Oh yeah, even before.
At least now music since 2010 on the internet. And one thing that I've noticed is really recurring and I really enjoy is the piano. You have a lot of piano in a lot of your music, so it's cool to see that was like your foundation.
Oh, sure.
But I feel like as time progressed, and you also pointed this out as well, you kind of like your music got a little bit more, I guess gentle is the word I'll use. There was a lot, like for a moment, it seemed to be like it was taking away some of the like the distorted sounds, some of the like abstract changes and things. But one thing that really stood out to me, and this is where I point out like a track that I personally enjoyed, was off of your first album that's available. And it's the track Somehow.
Oh yeah.
And it's definitely a deep cut, but I love it. It had such an explosive energy to it. I love the distortion that was on your voice, but I also love like the way you expressed each line and like the stomp clap of the drums, and it felt like it had this really interesting presence to it. It kind of like fell away in the middle and then started to build, and it started to get really suspenseful and like rising and like ominous and like it. But then you never went back to the chorus at the end.
Yeah, it's just outro.
Yeah, I love that, because
like age of outro.
If you had done one more, it would have felt very like Miss Murdery almost. You would have brought back that sound too many times. But the way you ended it, and then the way that it rolled into single,
nice,
like just that transition. It like really, really sat with me, and there's something that I'm going to compare it to when we talk about some of your newer music. So I'll wait to point that out for now. But leading into that, I have this next question is one that I'm really excited for, because you have so much music. What is one of your favorite tracks to perform?
I mean, I think Tunnels and Trains, the Domestic song. It was written. We were on tour. We were in Boston, and I woke up before everybody else because I don't drink on the road. I'm at work.
Yeah.
And which I'll tell you what, people get mad at you sometimes for that. Like fans who are like, "Buy me,
let me buy you a beer." You're like, I know,
I can't. Yeah. This woman in Denver was like livid, and I was like, I don't know you.
Yeah.
I'm like, what if I was on the wagon? You know what I mean? Like, just if somebody doesn't want to drink, just respect it. Don't ask questions.
Yeah.
But anyway, that song. So like, I remember, and everybody was pretty tense. But I wrote the song in the van while everybody was sleeping in somebody's house, and we're driving along, and I was like, oh, hey, check out this song that I wrote. It was just like on a phone recording, acoustic guitar thing. And everybody was kind of like, whatever about it. And I was like, okay, well, listen, whatever. Yeah. And then, when we get back to Portland and start working on the record, Michael Finn was like, how did I not know that the song was a bop? I was like, I don't know. Maybe you were just in a bad mood. Maybe you had a tummy ache. I don't know.
I mean, that and like playing it off the phone sometimes doesn't translate the same way.
For sure. And it's like, but it's funny though. So the line is me and somebody else's dreams. And we were staying in Minneapolis. And we stayed at one of the dudes from the Jayhawks put us up. And when we were leaving in the van, he yelled out of the van. He was like, hey, you guys are living other people's dreams, And I was like, oh, what a sweet sentiment. And then I mulled it over for, 12 dates or whatever, traveling from there to, upstate New York. And I was like, it's like, it's awesome to be able to do fun stuff, but it's also like you are driving in a van with smelly boys, and people are bickering, and, and it is a fantastic life. But there's the, I was thinking about it last night when I was watching these bands, because there's an opening band. They're also excellent, Proto-Martyr. And, but, I was just like, man, opening band, when you are like in the van and the other band is in the bus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like maybe they have a sleeper or something like that, and you're like, all right. So especially if you're on a West Coast tour, you're like, so we are leaving LA at 7 a.m. and hopefully getting, through San Francisco traffic. It's so I guess that I like that song because it feels like a celebration of, me meeting somebody else's dreams. I don't know. It just feels. I didn't even finish the second verse because it's like it's just. Sloop John B. It's just Beach Boys, something that I just like.
Yeah.
Or just the lyrics to or the titles of songs. I was like, I'll fix this later, and I was like, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It isn't Desolation Row. It can just be, sometimes, they say 50% of people don't even hear lyrics.
I understand that. Yeah, I'm always a music first, and then on like third pass, I go through and check out the words.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then, it's like the so I try not to be too precious about it, but I mean, obviously I love like Randy Newman, Warren Zevon, Bob Dylan, all these like deep lyric things. But sometimes a song's just a song, and you don't have to mess with it.
No, totally.
It can be stupid smart,
as long as it resonates somewhere.
Yeah.
No, I remember I was watching Tennyson. They're like a
no name.
They're like a Canadian, like kind of like, I would say like almost emo pop, but they're not. Like they're like electronic indie emotional pop.
Sure.
It's like the best way I'll describe it. It's a
Northern Midwest.
Yeah, it's a guy and his sister. She plays the drums, he plays synths and effects and things like that. And then they had a guitar and bass player with them for the tour. But they made that point. They were like, I can't even remember what the line was from the song because words kind of elude me at times.
Sure.
But they were like, man, people have come up to us and they have this like key part of this chorus tattooed on their body. And they're like, it means so much to us. And they're like, it was just a sentence we came up with. It has no meaning. I'm sorry, but I'm glad you attached importance to it.
I mean, once you make something, it belongs to everybody else.
Yep. Yeah. It's like when they asked the author, like, what was your thoughts behind this? They're like, well, I just wanted it to be that.
Yeah. Here's one for you. I remember the band Metric. Yeah, love that band. I remember they had that album Live It Out, and I remember I'd read all of these into the lyrics. I was like, well, because Emily Haynes has like a real like feminist slant to her stuff, and I don't know. I thought there was something that like if it was like intentionally ironic at points that like the band is all like older guys and it's just her and not realizing she was married to Jimmy Shaw and all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was 18, so what do I know? But yeah, and it meant something to me, and it was all made up in my head.
Fair, yeah. No, like sometimes you can attach meaning after the fact. And that I think it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay if you put the reason after you make the presentation.
Sure.
Yeah. And now let's talk about some of your newer music. And I guess this is where we'll take a quick moment because I want to make sure just for myself and others there is you as Leo London, and then there is the Domestics, or is it just Domestics? I guess
the Domestics.
Yeah. When did that come about? How did that become a thing?
Yeah. Well, so the Domestics started because a mutual friend, Neil Vosberg of mine and Michael Finn's, wanted me to come check out Mikey's stuff. And I ended up doing some work for him, and he was working at Tucker Martine's studio in Portland. So I came up and did some piano for him, and in exchange, he got me a lockout date. And I came up with this concept, and actually who became the keyboard player for the Domestics was filming. We were going to be like, all right, we're making a record in one
Oh,
day.
cool. Oh, okay.
And so come up there, film crew, do the whole thing, and we didn't make it. It was. I also didn't realize like how much like my voice dropped in my mid-20s, and I had no idea because it still sounded the same in my head.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to hit all these notes from when I was, 18, and not that all the songs were old, but I had one song from when me and Michelle were in a band together, and I was like, you know what? I feel like this should be on a record, and I blew out my voice. But point being, all those songs ended up being demos for the first Domestics record.
Okay.
Because
are those the demos that are up on Spotify right now?
Yeah, some of them are on there. Yeah. And so I mean, I just write a lot. So like, I had a whole other record that I recorded during the recording of Little Darkness, and sent it to the label that we were on at the time, and crickets, and I was like, well, I mean, like, I just can't stop making stuff, so I just have to find other avenues to put it, especially if things slow down, because, again, I don't have another thing to do.
That's fair. Yeah, no, I get that. Then I guess looking at your current album, or the one that's coming out, I should say, and
June 25th.
Oh, exciting! That's that's not too far away. That's
coming right up. We have a release show June 28th at Mississippi Studios.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, awesome. Well, definitely, we'll make sure to plug that at the end. But looking forward to that for sure. And the new album is titled Heist, correct?
Yeah.
Cool. I just wanted to make sure on that. I really liked it. I listened to the whole thing a few times, actually. Big fan. It's cool because it felt like some of your earlier work. That was kind of a point I wanted to circle back to here.
Nice. Yeah.
It has more of that like early energy where it had like kind of this like thicker tones, a little more like expressiveness, a little less of the like softer structure that you had moved into as your albums progressed, which, nothing wrong with those sounds, but like it was kind of cool because I really fixated on your first album. I really liked it. Like, I mean, I liked all the other stuff too, but something about that just drew me.
I mean, there are a couple flyover states in there, just so I mean,
yeah.
So
but they like, it was cool listening to that one and then going to your most recent one. And another track that really, really jumped out at me, and I'm going to do kind of the same thing I did before, was, did I not write? Oh, sorry, I did write the name. It was in a weird spot. Kmart.
Oh, yeah.
Kmart is a jam.
Kmart 1993.
Yeah, I mean, it was musical, it was catchy. I mean, it was mixed well, it was easy to sing along to, but it had this energy to it. And then subsequently, it rolls into Horizons.
Yeah.
Now, Horizons hits a very different spot for me. And this is what I wanted to wait to reference until now. It kind of felt like going from Kmart to Horizons was similar to on Demon Days when it goes from Feel Good Inc. to El Mañana. and I mean, like, very much that, like, it was that emotional contrast of this like big uplifty, like kind of like you can't help but go like this, and then this like almost like somber, gut-wrenchy track where you're forced to listen from the last track. Like, the last track grabbed you so hard, you're paying attention to this track, but it just had this feeling to it, this emotion to it that felt really different than a lot of the other music I'd listened to of yours. But it really stood out to me. And like El Mañana is one of my favorite tracks. So like to deliver that energy just like sat with me immediately. So I really, really wanted to point that out, that, for those of you that haven't listened to it yet,
it's on the Spotifys.
It's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah, that Damon Albarn guy, if he keeps working, he's going to get something.
Oh, I meant for your music. I meant for your music. Sorry. No, I mean, shout out Gorillaz. But no, I'm saying, for those of you that haven't listened to the new album yet, because I don't believe it's out yet.
No.
Yeah.
At the time of this. There's a single dropping on the 8th. It's on Spotify.
Okay.
Jock Jams is coming out.
Okay. I wonder if I'll have to look at my calendar. That might be the day this episode comes out.
Nice. Yeah.
I'll have to find out.
Horizons was one of my favorites on there too. I wrote that song in the middle of the night. I was driving from Albuquerque to Portland, and I was somewhere in Nevada, and I was like, gonna stop, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna power through because I'm want to spend, I don't know, I had something I was doing, but yeah, that was just one of those songs wrote while driving.
Yeah.
You know, I just wanted to vamp too. I actually deleted the bridge from that song at one point.
Interesting.
To just make it just vamp.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but then, you know, once I deleted it, I was like, I kind of miss the, you know,
Yeah.
there's a little tension and release, and, you know, the chords are a little more playful. The lyrics are, I think the, you know, sometimes a bridge, sometimes it just needs to be back 8, you know. But I was really stoked about that one too, because I was hanging out with Erin from Dog Daughter, and I got to record all those guitars on her equipment.
Oh,
so
cool.
it was sort of like influenced by that as well.
Damn. Well, it's a super cool song. And I mean, I'm super excited for the new album. I'm a little bummed this episode will come out too soon for us to do. I have this bit that I do called Tuned In, where we like break down like song by song and like go through a whole experience.
Oh, sure.
But maybe after it's been out for a little bit, we'll have you come back and do one anyway, because
I'm into it.
It's a really, really interesting album. I'm going to continue to listen to it.
Right on.
Once it's online, so you get the plays.
Well, thank you. Yeah, well, the Kmart song too is funny, because there's I haven't decided if I'm going to add it or not, but that it was originally called Reels, and it was a slow song kind of, you know. And the lyrics, I was on tour with Nick Gamer, also ex Japanese Breakfast. And the verses were about, you know, like the bartender shaking the shaker out of time, and so we were literally playing like some coffee shop in Ashland, and there was surly bartender just like shaking louder than the music, you know. So shout out Ashland bartender.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to go back there and sample that spot.
Yeah.
Like, hey, is this guy still working there?
Yeah.
We'll be there in 10.
But, you know, so the other thing is about the record, you know, there's a lot of like the titles of the songs are like a little bit, you know, I feel like it's a little tongue in cheek, you know, have a song called Toyotathon.
Yeah.
Trying to.
I was curious if that was gonna did you have to run that by anybody? Or are you just
I don't know.
Yeah, you know, free promotion is free promotion.
We'll see. It'd be hilarious to get sued by Toyota.
Yeah, Toyota's like, cease and desist.
Listen, we're a Honda family. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it'd be funny to, you know, like, but I wanted to do a sped up version. Well, you know, I felt like I really wanted to focus on this record. 1, return to form. I like rock and roll music. Let's play rock and roll music. And 2, I really wanted to focus on like the Grecian idea of chorus.
Yeah.
Where it's like, whatever you want, whatever you need, you know, give it to me. It's, you know, like the simplest, you know, kind of thing, you know, because I think that we all have people who seriously write have a propensity to be verbose.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, just give them the hit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I won't sit here hyping up the album for too much longer, but y'all should definitely be excited for it when it comes out. I can vouch for it. It's a solid experience.
I don't mind. Keep going.
Yeah, no. We'll talk about it more off camera for sure. But for this next question, now that we have zoomed in to the point where it's music that people haven't even heard yet, let's take a step back. Let's zoom all the way out.
Yes.
And let's look at kind of music in general. What are some things that are happening in current music that you enjoy?
Oh, I really like Suki Waterhouse. I don't know anything about her. I mean, I think she's on Sub Pop maybe, but like hugely famous. She blew up on TikTok or something like that. But really like her hits. Can't really say much about the rest of the albums.
That's fair.
You know, but it seems like she's sort of like, you know, she has like a mix of sort of like this LA pop princess thing happen, but also this sort of like, she just sung with like Belle and Sebastian.
Okay.
I mean, so she's also got some indie cred someplace too.
Yeah.
So maybe she's British. I've never heard her talk. I don't know. Anyway,
Fair.
I like her stuff.
Well, more, I mean, like, let's more or less not focus so much on an artist, but like current sounds. What are some things about just kind of music in general at the moment?
I mean, I love sampling stuff, you know? I mean, maybe give me an example of like,
so, I mean, like, you know, like, are there like looking at more current music, like, you know, like progressions of sounds, how things are currently being presented, things like that, like more like the characteristics of present music.
Yeah. Well, I like, there's certain things I love for other people that I don't love for myself. Like reverb, like there's some pretty amazing reverbs happening now.
That is true.
And, which I think is fantastic. I intentionally do dry stuff for the most part. I mean, part of it's using, like program like Logic where the stock stuff is kind of trash, but like, I don't know. I do like, like, what is it, dream pop kind of stuff. And, give me anything that, sounds like Julie Cruz or something like that, and I'm happy. But, yeah, I think I really gravitate towards the femme stuff, like I really like Australian Babe Wave or whatever, you get like your Julia Jacquelines, all that. Yeah, I like that there's a bigger presence of female writing.
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah. No, I can agree with you on that for sure.
I think that, yeah. Long answer short.
No, that's great. That's great. And I mean, it's music is always going to kind of evolve and change to like be new sounds, but it is cool to see. Especially, I like that you kind of pointed out like the dream pop side of things. We're getting to the spot where things are becoming a little bit more musical, but like not over intentionally. So like there's a lot of focus on melody now again, which is starting to come back, which I really appreciate. Like that's a lot of fun.
Give me something to hold on to.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's kind of like we had like, there was that point in the 80s where everything was like singable. And I think we're moving back to that for a little bit, and I'm really excited. Yeah. Yeah.
Tag me in, coach.
Yeah.
I'm there.
All right. But now I've got one last question to go in this kind of middle portion where we're focusing on you today. And this is probably the densest question in the interview.
Okay.
But we've talked a lot about, your experiences with music, the actions, the reactions, and things like that. But when it's just you and music, one-on-one, what does music give back to you?
Ooh, yeah. Zen space, safe space. Like, not to get too woo-woo or whatever, but it's always been, for some, it's not always cathartic for me, the writing, because I am like a writer and it is something that I do intentionally. But, I feel like somebody that struggles with, anxiety disorder, depression, all that kind of stuff, that very ADHD active mind, I feel like anytime there have been, a handful of times finding that sort of thing, like when you can, and then you can marry that into like some sort of self-expression, especially, growing up mask, and it's like raised by a grandpa who I saw cry once at a funeral kind of thing.
Yeah.
To be able to express emotion despite all of that, I feel like it is a safe space, and beyond that, the community that comes with it is priceless.
Yes.
It is like the people who help you move, and if your car breaks down, come jump your car. I think that's the sort of it would be a combination of the solace it can provide, the excitement it can provide when you're playing live, and the community that you can be there for and can be there for you.
Man, that's awesome. I love that answer. Thank you. You've embodied a lot of the essences of the show, like focus in general, with just that answer alone. So
go team. I was up till 5 a.m.
Hey, well, you nailed it. I think. Thank you for sharing that. First of all, I always like to compare like music as my sand garden. That's what I've always brought it back.
Yeah.
Like it's not so much the end result; it's the motion of doing it that kind of brings you the space along the way.
For sure.
But I think you said it much more eloquently. Yeah.
I'm glad. Nice. The pressure was on. All right.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing.
Easy questions from now on.
Yes. Well, actually, we're going to go ahead and we're going to segue on into some hypothetical questions.
Okay.
And for these, the questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. But this first one's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
If you could work with any one person, the only requirement is they have to be alive.
Okay.
Who would you want to work with, and how would you want to work with them?
That's a great question. Nigel Godrich, is that the producer? Did Radiohead?
I'm terrible with those kinds of names.
That's okay. Yeah, I mean, we're talking dreams of dreams.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to my friend Claire last night. We went to the show together, and she was like, he also produced the new Idols record. I was like, what? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. So that's I guess that's the first thing that came to my mind. Because I think he also engineers the stuff too. So the sounds he gets are huge, and it seems like it doesn't feel like, you get somebody like Steve Albini, and it's very much like this is a Steve Albini record. It sounds like that,
Yeah.
There's like a, tonality to that. I feel like it'd be fun. I don't know. I mean, honestly, if anybody would give me a couple bucks to be in a studio, I'd love that. Because I'm doing all of this myself now. It's like all recorded in kitchens, basements. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like I'm getting pretty good tones considering, but it's nice when you can like walk into a studio and shoot out a couple mics and, be like, oh, is it a Fairchild compressor? Tight, let's do that. It's like, I've got like my AT4040 and it is nice to occasionally, sing through a Neumann.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. No, but I mean the duality of like being able to do things anywhere is it's such a strange crossroad we're at right now, because back in the day it was like that was like the thing people went for. They're like, no, let's go record it in this abstract space because it'll be so different. Sure. Now everybody's like, let's go record it in a studio because it'll be so different.
Yeah. Well, here's a hot take. Fiona Apple's one of my heroes. I love her albums so much. I remember it was the beginning of the pandemic, and she had that record come out. At first, I didn't like it because I don't know, maybe just insanely jealous that this is an artist who has access to the greatest studios in the world.
Yeah.
It sounded like it was recorded in a potato, and it's like, I felt like, I was like, homegirl, you already did. It's like, let us have the shitty indie rock sounding records because, I mean, and I guess I could also see, after doing all these fantastic, like orchestral kind of things to want to get it. But I just felt like it sounded like the last record where she did that. So at that moment, anyway, hot take. I don't know. I love Fiona Apple. She's one of my heroes. And I've come around on the record, but, I don't know. There's something about this being authentic. And then there's also, the band Half Japanese? They made a great point. They were like, oh, yeah, everybody that is trying to sound like half Japanese is trying to play poorly. We're doing our best. And I don't know, maybe that's just something that, take that for what you will.
Yeah, no, totally. But I mean, that is a great choice of person to want to work with, going back to your original answer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's interesting, too. He also attempted to record, I think it was the Second Strokes record, and apparently they scrapped it because it was trash. So who knows?
Oh, man.
Again, what do I know? But I just like the way that all of the records he works on sound.
Hell yeah. And then subsequently, I guess we'll stick to local here, even though you've been many places, but who is a local artist that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet, but you would like to?
Ooh. I don't know. I feel like I've connected with
You've worked with a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we maybe come back to that? I have to think about that.
Yeah. No, totally.
Dang.
We'll go ahead and move on to the next question when you think about it for a little bit. And this one, like I said before, sky's the limits, and it's pretty literal in this sense. But if you could perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power, it's guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show, and it doesn't have to be a venue. It can be anywhere.
Anywhere in the world.
Anywhere, and it would work in the scenario. Where would you want to perform?
Dead or alive? Like, it's like, could it be like you think about like, are we talking like, could it be historical? Could it be like CBGB or something like that?
Ooh, I guess I've never been asked the timeline question before. Yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead. Let's open it up to anywhere in time for this one.
Let's say CBGB's.
Hell yeah. Yeah. No.
What is it, like a yogurt place now or something? I mean,
oh man, I guess. I mean, hey, it's still around then.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna perform.
We're setting up, and maybe it's a jewelry store. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've been to New York.
Damn. Oh yeah. you've probably been there more recently than me, but yeah, no, I could not tell you that, but that is definitely a solid answer. And then
just to see the bathrooms.
yeah, just to know.
Well, like, is that, step in, Hilly's dog shit or whatever. Experience Patti Smith for the first time.
Yeah, you're just like, I know it happened here.
Yeah.
Even if you've remodeled.
Yeah.
All right. And then, like I said, we'll still circle back to that second to last question, but we'll wrap it up we'll put the wrap up question here now.
Okay.
If you could get one more album from anybody, they could be alive, they could be dead, they could have not put out an album in 100 years, they could have put out an album yesterday. Who would you like an album from?
Who's the Robert Christgau from Paz and Jop? Sorry, somewhat facetious, but like the music critics that have judged music famously for so many years would be like C-, all this fucking bull, Pitchfork, having a monkey pee in its mouth because Jet put out a second record or something like that.
Yeah,
and it's like, why don't you fucking do it?
That's a valid answer. All right. Well, let's everybody at them. Let's see if we can get one more out of them.
Robert Christgau, I'm calling you out. Drop that fucking EP, bitch.
Hell yeah. That is a really unique answer. I like that. All right. But now we have come to technically the end of the hypothetical question. So we're going to circle back. Have you thought about anybody in the area?
Well, I reached out to Larry Crane, who's one of my favorite producers, and he downloaded the record. So that's cool.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, he's just one of my heroes. And he came to a couple domestic shows back in the day. I would love to work with Larry.
Yeah.
If it were ever in the cards. I also don't have any money, so.
Yeah. Well, everybody at Larry in the comments. Let's see if we can get that.
Yeah, I feel like we've got to GoFundMe.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start wrapping this up.
All right.
You've already mentioned it a little bit, but what can we look forward to, let's say, between now and November?
The release show for Heist is Mississippi Studios, June 28th, with and Ezra Rose.
That's going to be a good show. That's going to be a really good show.
We, I'm really, very stoked about the lineup. I was calling it When We Were Young, but like JUNG, like the psychiatrist. But yeah, that's going to be really fun. And I think we're talking about trying to set up like a small tour, West Coast thing for the fall.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I'm already working on the follow-up record, and I plan on having, something coming out in the winter.
Oh, damn. Well, that's exciting.
I listen, but I'm going for it. And I need, again, also feel free to buy my records.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll have to time when you're putting out the next one and get you back on here for an episode of Tuned In, because I'm already sure I'm going to want to talk about it.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. And then for this next one, go and look straight at the camera and tell everybody how they can find you.
Best way to find me, 7-Eleven. You can, honestly, Instagram works the best. Leo London Music at Instagram, or the _domestics. That's where I post everything. Facebook doesn't seem to make sense anymore. Everything's just buried in the algorithm. At least with Instagram, you can kind of fool it by like putting a picture of a face, and it's like, oh, okay, well, here you can find things. But yeah, other than that, Skidmore and Mississippi Plaid Pantry.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you'd like to put on while you're on here?
Oh, my favorite Portland band right now is Dog Daughter. I think that they are fabulous. So I'm standing them hard. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now we've got one last question to go.
I've got one last answer.
But before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second.
Okay.
As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary. Make sure to click the link below and go check them out. I guarantee you're going to like it. Make sure to use code JAMBOX for 20% off and a free gift. But with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation.
Okay.
but what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side? So it's a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know.
Sure.
But it's one you think everybody should know.
Oh, yay. God, there's so many.
I know. I have a feeling you're going to have a really cool answer, but it would definitely be one where you're going to have to Rolodex it for a second. But I'm very excited to hear your answer.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Margot Guryan, 27 Demos. She was, and we just lost her recently. She lived to a ripe old age, though. But she was a songwriter in the 1960s. And she wrote for, she wrote a lot of like that bubblegum pop stuff. She did the song for like Spanky and his gang and stuff like that. But she also wrote these beautiful love songs. And there was a record put out that she did. I can't remember who it was with, but like, which was good. But the demos were released by maybe, by some sort of, I don't know if it's 4AD or whatever. Some label put these out and they're just fantastic. I mean, it is probably in my top 5 favorite records.
Wow.
Margot Guryan. And, she worked with like Elton John, Harry Nilsson, I think. And, but she's just sort of an unsung hero in some ways,
Yeah. Well, damn, it's a name I'm not familiar with, so I'm very excited to go check it out.
Yeah, can't go wrong. Like the whole, it's just, she's so good. It's like every song is great.
Damn. Well, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Glad I could come up with it.
Yeah. No, you had that one quick. I
could have gone with anything, I mean, there's so many good records out there,
No, totally. But hey, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Yeah. Had a great time.
This has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Leo.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
Bye.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.